Jana.
Hello.
I'm Deonna. I'm going to be your therapist for today. I wanted to tell you everything that you say here is strictly confidential between me and you, but if I hear anything or you say anything about killing yourself or hurting yourself or others, I would have to report you. So
Okay.
Can you tell me more about what brings you here today?
Well, I've been feeling really stressed lately, like with finals and holidays and stuff coming up, and trying to balance spending time with my family back at home and spending time up here with my friends.
Okay. So you're trying to balance spending time with your family and spending time with your friends, and you're feeling kind of stressed about that. So
Right.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I just feel like I need to give my family some more attention. I really want to spend time with my friends up here, and I like being away from home at college. But I also just worry about not, being home enough and not spending enough time with them back there.
Okay. So you talk about you feel like you don't give your family enough attention, and you're worried about that. So can you tell me what you mean by attention, or why are you worried?
Well, my dad actually passed away 3 years ago, and so I feel like sometimes I need to be back home more, to be there because he can't, and so I feel bad sometimes because I'm not there as often, since I am away at school and not at home so much, and I'm not there with my mom and my brother. Sometimes I feel bad because I don't go home a whole lot.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear about your father.
Thank you.
So you feel bad because you're not home, and how are things at home?
Things at home are okay. It's been hard since he's been gone. Sometimes I get in fights with my mom, and it's been hard on my brother without him there. But for the most part, we've been managing. We've been trying really hard to be okay, but it has been really difficult. But I don't know, sometimes it feels like it gets harder, the longer he's not here, because we're still having to adjust to normal life.
Okay. So how you said that you're trying to adjust back to normal life. So how are things different now that your father is gone?
Well, financially, things are a lot harder because my dad was the one that worked. My mom has done some substitute teaching and stuff, but she hasn't had a full-time job besides taking care of me and my brother and working at home with us. So financially, it's a lot different, and just sometimes the dynamic in the family is different because just trying to take care of everyone. My mom gets stressed out, and I think we all are sad still, but it's been a couple years, so I don't know. It just feels like we should be moving on, but it's still really hard to go back, trying to do Christmas traditions and things like that without him there.
So your family's still in this process of of getting used to your father not being there, and so it's hard to go back to traditions and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Have the family talked about this, of how they of feeling sad about your father's death?
Well, we talked about it a lot when it initially happened, but since then, we don't really talk about it a whole lot. We talk about him a lot, but sometimes we don't go into detail about that we're sad and things like that. But we do mention him, we talk about him, so we don't forget anything. But I don't know, sometimes we just kind of try and push aside that we're sad, because it's easier to deal with than like being sad and like moping. So we try not to talk about it as much, I guess.
Why do you feel it's better to push aside your feelings rather than being sad?
Because I don't like to dwell on my feelings. I don't like to just sit and feel sad because it makes me feel really tired and just worn out and like I can't do anything to fix it. So why just sit and be sad? Because there's nothing I can do to bring him back or anything like that to make our lives easier than to try to move on and to not make anything more stressful or difficult than it already is.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. We're actually getting to a point that we're almost out of time, but I don't want you to leave until you came in talking about stress, balancing home and family life, and I kind of want to leave you, and I really want to talk more about this pushing aside your feelings. So I don't want to add any more to your stress. So I'm going to give you some homework, but I want to hear how you feel about it.
Okay.
I want you to make a list of times this week where you feel like you're pushing aside your feelings or how you feel in the moment, and just journal that down for me. And next session, next week, we can talk about it and just kind of, you feel like you can do that?
Yeah, I think I'd be able to do that this week, sure.
Thank you for coming in, Jana.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I'll see you next week. All right.
Okay, great. Hello. Hi, I'm Jana. I'm your counselor today. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you that this is an open space. I want you to feel comfortable here and be able to talk about whatever is on your mind. But I do want to remind you that if you talk about, or if I get the impression that you're going to hurt yourself or hurt someone else, I will have to talk to someone about that. But just again, this is an open space. I want you to feel comfortable with me and in here. So what brings you in today?
I've just been feeling really stressed lately. Finals and things going on, and I might graduate early, so I'm just feeling really just kind of stressed from all that going on, and my parents are really excited, and I just want to make sure I'm doing well with my grades, and but I just keep feeling all this anxiety like in my chest, and it's just not helping me do as well as I think I should.
Okay. So you mentioned that your parents are excited for you, and you're feeling a little anxious, or you feeling anxious about what your parents are doing?
Well, I'm kind of like the first person to go to college in my family, so it's like a really big deal. My older brother, he never like finished, and so it's like I'm the first one to go to college. So and they really want me to do well and everything, but they're really excited about this whole aspect of me graduating early, and because me and my younger brother are 4 years apart, so they're like, okay, you have to do well, you have to, make sure you be a big example for Daniel, and I just kind of like, I'm excited, but it just doesn't, I'm just worried about like I won't do well or things of that nature.
You mentioned your older brother, and that he didn't go to school. Is that right?
Yeah.
So are you feeling some pressure to go to school because he didn't?
Well, I mean, I do feel that pressure of like doing well because he didn't, because it's, like he just kind of did whatever, and he just did whatever he wanted to do because of how he felt, and just kind of like he didn't really care that he was the oldest or supposed to be the example. So a lot of the stuff like he did, it just kind of all his responsibilities, I felt like it just pushed on to me, like to make sure, like, oh, make sure I'm doing the best that I can do and doing my best in school. So it does feel like I feel like the oldest child instead of the middle child. So sometimes because of that responsibility, and he just can do whatever, and so my parents expect a lot from me.
Right, and you said that you feel a lot like the older child instead of the middle child. Can you explain to me a little bit more about your family dynamic?
So, it's not like my brother's the black sheep or anything. It's just that he just kind of was on his own, and he doesn't really see himself as like he doesn't see how his actions affect our family. So it's just kind of like I'm more about family, and I understand like, okay, I have to be the role model for Daniel, and I have to encourage him to do well in school, so I have to do well in school. So I can't tell him to do anything that I'm not doing. And then whereas Byron is just kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm living my life, and stuff like that. And like he's very proud of us, but he's just like, that's not, school wasn't for him. That wasn't his deal. And so, like my parents, they're proud of him. They love him, and everything. But they're kind of still like, my dad especially is like, you need to get your education. Like, I worked so many years for this. Don't blow it all the way like your brother did. Don't be like him. So it's kind of like, we love him, but it's kind of like he's the example of what not to be. So I'm kind of like the example of what to be for my younger brother. So
do you think that pressure to be the example for your younger brother is making you anxious?
It's sometimes, yeah, because it's not easy always, to keep up on your studies and take so many classes and like just trying to keep the balance of it all. I have, friends, I have, schoolwork, but, trying to keep that balance. And I don't feel like every time, I'm not going to come home with like all A's, and I feel like I can't slip up. It's like failure is not an option. So it's just kind of like really hard for me when I'm studying for something and I feel like, or I feel like, oh gosh, like, a deadline is coming close or something like that. And I just feel like, okay, I just feel, I don't know, it feels kind of like the walls are closing in and like I can't fail. Like I really just get close to almost tears because I feel like I just can't do it. I just can't fail.
You mentioned failure quite a bit. What does that mean to you? How would you define failure?
Failure is not meeting, well, I guess kind of like my dad's standards for us. Because his standards is kind of like the big, he's the man of the household. So that's like, if you don't meet up to par, like, it looks bad not only on, just me, but it looks bad on the family. My dad has this whole thing where we are a reflection of him, or him and my mom and their parenting. So if I fail, or if I kind of just, if I fail, that is a reflection on them.
Well, have you talked to your parents about how you feel with all this pressure?
No. I haven't.
No? Okay. Well, we are getting close to being out of time, but I'd really like to explore more about your feelings in regards to the pressure you're feeling from your parents. But in the meantime, I'd like to not add to your stress, but to see if you can maybe do some homework for me that you can bring back with you next time we meet. So in the meantime, I'd like for you to write a letter to your parents, just kind of explaining how you're feeling with all this pressure that you're feeling from them in regards to wanting to be better than your older brother and to be a good example for your younger brother. And just kind of jot down all the feelings that you have in regards to that in a letter to them and bring that back with you next time we meet. And I won't make you give it to them, but we can talk about it. And maybe if you're comfortable with it next time, you can start talking more about your family and maybe getting to talk to them about how you're feeling.
Okay.
You think you can do that for me?
Yeah, I feel like I can do that.
Okay, great. Well, it was great meeting with you, Jana, and I'd like to see you again next time.
Okay, thank you.